Hello and welcome to my latest video. So this video is going to be a kit review, and I'm not sure how useful it's going to be for people, but quite often I get asked what equipment I use when recording videos for painting models or building them, things like that. So you can see the videos that I put out on YouTube. And BenQ contacted me and they'd seen my videos and they wanted me to do a review of one of their cameras, and I was a little bit unsure about doing the review because I use like a Nikon Z6 camera for my filming. It has like a big lens on it, and it captures like very high quality images, and I wasn't sure how well something like this would be able to compete with the equipment that I already use. But at the same time, this is obviously a lot cheaper in comparison, so maybe for people that want to get started in recording things for YouTube, model painting, things like that, and just to get them going. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a review and see how it goes. It's not something that I would use personally, so I don't have a great deal of use for something like this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the whole like normal review stuff, and then I'm also going to test it out for building some Legions Imperialis Space Marines, because there are a few elements on this that are kind of interesting and some people might find them useful. So one of the big features that are supposed to be for the camera are this. So it has like a little zoom lens that magnetizes to the front, so you can, and the idea is that when you go along and you want a close-up of the model. So here's a land speeder that I'd already built, and the idea is that you would then you can go really close up, fine detail, to see all this stuff. So I'll show you a video of how well that works. I don't think it's going to be super useful for painting, because there's no way you can have something that close and paint something at the same time, especially because you kind of have to hold it to be that close. It does obviously attach to normal camera mounts and things, but for the super close-up stuff, it's you can't paint and do that at the same time. But we'll see how it goes, and then I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not the results are something that you would want to have a go with for recording on video. So the first thing to look at here is the mounting system for the camera, and this is very weighty. Now you can use this camera as a webcam as well, which I've tested out a little bit, and it works nicely as a webcam, but I'm not really interested in how good it is as a webcam for this video, because my priority is building and painting models, so for social media. So that's what I'm aiming at for this. But it does have the mount here for attaching it to like tripods and stuff like that. But generally speaking, if you're using it for a webcam, it's got the weight at the back here, kind of excessively weighted, I feel, and then it has a little mount block here that the camera can just clip onto, and this is sort of magnetic. It's kind of a weak attachment, which I guess is useful because so you can take it on and off quickly and easily. So if you want to do that close-up zooming action, it's pretty handy for that thing, for that kind of thing. But at the same time, if you've got it on top of your monitor, because it's so weak, if you accidentally catch the cable or whatever, or just knock it slightly, or you've got it angled down, because you can use this for, say, something like a wet palette camera. So if you've got this angled like straight down like this to be able to film your wet palette as a separate screen, it's very light, the connection, so you'd have to be careful with that. But at the same time, it's kind of nice. It has the straight down viewing angle, just so that you can record something like like that. This piece here was something that I found kind of, it feels really nice, but at the same time it's very disappointing. The reason it's disappointing is that when I'm recording things, I use OBS, and this is a controller for the camera, obviously, and it has lots of nice functions. It has, like, you can switch between manual and auto zoom, and you know, just spin it around, you know, and lets you focus as you want. So that all sounds really handy, and I thought that would be, you know, very suitable for something like, you know, model painting or model building, where, you know, you want to have full control over what it is that you're recording. And sometimes, because you move the models around while you're working on them, you have to tweak the focus, and this would just be really nice for that kind of thing. The problem is that this only works with the BenQ app. So when I'm using OBS to record with it, this is worthless. I can't use it. And the reason it's so disappointing as well is because this is very nicely manufactured. It's got, like, you know, it feels good. You know, the button presses are good. Like, it's got a nice solid weight to it. So I was really disappointed that I couldn't use this with OBS while I was recording. And also, I mean, the software that you can use for the BenQ app, it works fine, and you can record on that. So if you just want to do everything using the BenQ system, that's fine. But again, for me, it's not great. I will show you some of the recorded footage using this and using the app as well. But just from my perspective at the moment, this was a bit disappointing. So here's the land speeder, and I'm using the IdeaCam to film it at the moment. So you can see it's a pretty clear image, and I can move it around. So the only issue with it, like using it at this moment, is I'm holding it. So it's a little bit wobbly. Clearly, if it was you know, stabilized on a camera mount or tripod or something, it wouldn't be wobbly like this. The only thing is, to get this, like, this close to it, is I'm only about 10 centimeters away, which will obviously make it a little bit harder to paint and, you know, be able to see the model at the same time, because I just, you know, the camera would get in the way a little bit. But the quality of the image is actually pretty good. But what I'm going to do now is put on the like the zoom lens. So straight away it's gone out of focus. So you see how it'll work when you get really close. The problem is that because of how close you have to get, you're basically touching the model. So you can see there. So I don't, certainly not for painting, this isn't going to be useful. I guess if you wanted to get really close to something and see all the faults and the brush marks in your work, it would be handy. But yeah, I don't think that is super useful for how close you have to get. What I'm going to do is just switch back to my other camera, and you'll see exactly how close you have to get. And there you go, that's how close you have to get to see that in focus image. So basically it is touching the model, and you have to get, you know, super close, you know, put it inside there. So even then, like if it's like a display piece, the last thing you want to do is have to touch the model. You know, you'll touch the painting with the rim of this. So I don't think this is going to be that useful for painters. Basically it's just not useful. But if you want super close looks at sprues and things, it might be useful for that. So what I'm going to do is just have a quick test on the sprues that the jet bike or the land speeders come from. And just to start with, this is what it looks like on my normal cam, like my Nikon Z6. And you can see it's pretty clear, and I think you get a nice look at the sprue anyway. But obviously it's not as like zoomed in as the other, you know, the IdeaCam will allow. So I'll just put that up and you'll be able to see the comparison. So here is a close-up of one of the bikes on the sprue, and actually I quite like this. So the nice thing about the camera is that it has a light on it, because clearly having to get this close to something would, even with my nice strong top-down lighting that I use, it would create a shadow. So the light from the camera itself makes sure that that isn't a problem. But you can clearly see, like in nice zoomed-in detail, all of the detail on the bike. It's you do have to tweak it a little bit to get things in focus, but I think that's actually quite interesting, and it might be the case that I'll keep this camera just for doing quick looks at really close views of parts on sprues, as you know, kit review videos. Here's the driver and the gunner on the land speeder as well. Again, that's actually quite a handy thing for the close-up of the models. You can see all the detail on them, you see the eyes and things, which is quite nice. It's actually quite hard to see some of these details when you're painting them, so you actually now get to see the parts of the model that you probably miss. Now I'm back to using the Inspire software, so I'm going to see if I can actually build or clip out at least the parts for a land speeder to see how well I can do something while using the IdeaCam. I will say straight away that because I have to have the camera so close for these kind of shots, it's making life a little bit more tricky. I mean, it's always going to be tricky with something like this anyway, even if you're using expensive equipment to record while you're building or painting, because you have to do hold the kits at funny angles and things just so that you can see the parts that are being done, because naturally you will hold them and they'll be you'll be right in front of your face, which is great for you because you can see what you're doing, but it's pretty horrible for anyone that wants to watch the video that you're recording, because your head will be in the way. So you will always have issues like this, but just in this case, because the camera is basically right in front of my face, it just means getting a little bit closer to the models while clipping the pieces out is a bit of a pain. But at the same time, you have to obviously take into account the cost difference between having something like this and having a mirrorless camera to record from. So obviously one of the important parts of building a model is cleaning it up. And again, this would be a little bit easier if the camera wasn't in front of my face, but it's actually not too bad to do this. The most important thing obviously is that you can see what it is that I'm doing on the screen, and I think it's giving a pretty clear image. The colours are maybe a little bit too saturated, I guess, making my fingers look very pink. But you can tweak the settings for it as well, obviously. So after saying you can tweak the settings, obviously I had to go and check to make sure that that was accurate, but as you can see, the image has changed in colour a little bit now, so I'm not quite as pink anymore. I'm going to try and stick the model together now with a bit of glue quickly. For those interested, I'm using Tamiya Extra Thin, so I just have to quickly touch the glue to the model, and the capillary action pulls it all into the recesses and things, so you know, it's a much quicker way of doing it. I'm trying to remember how to build this from memory as well. Ooh, that's a problem. You'll be able to see on the screen that the angle of the camera isn't quite as nicely positioned as the usual camera that I use, and it's purely because I haven't got a camera arm set up in such a way that it's easy to put this camera somewhere useful, and mainly because I just didn't want to spend hours having to unplug all my other stuff to use the camera arms that I have set up for those. One of the irritating things about the camera as well is that it doesn't swivel, so it can move vertically, so it goes up and down basically, but it's oh great, I've cut out the same piece twice, I think. Right, so I need to go and find another one of those. Yeah, so the camera, you can't move it horizontally, so like if I had that option, it would be much easier to, you know, frame the image a little bit better, and I wouldn't have this visible. I didn't have it the wrong way around. I mean, I didn't have the wrong one cut out, I just had it the wrong way around. I wasn't looking close enough. These Legions Imperialis models have an awful lot of parts considering how small they are, but it does mean that you get a lot of detail on them as well. And for those interested about the land speeder itself, you do have the option of having las cannons on the side rather than the missile pods. And there you go. So ultimately the question is, would I recommend this, the IdeaCam for model painting and model building videos if you want to do things for YouTube? And I'm not sure if I would. Clearly there's a big cost difference between having a camera like a proper, like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, and having something like this. And of course this can also be used as a webcam, and like it has uses, like you can, like I say, you can use it as a secondary wet palette camera as well. So if you wanted to say start off with something like this for recording, it's going to be tricky, like it's going to get in the way while you're trying to record your painting videos, and that's purely if you want to get like really close up there to so you can see the painting. If you just wanted something maybe for say streaming, where it's more like the sort of kind of the social aspect of painting on camera or whatever, I think you probably could get away with using this. The other thing is as well, you don't need any kind of capture device. So when I record with my Nikon Z6, I need a capture card to be able to record from the camera and then to get it onto the PC. So again, there's a lot less cost involved as well. So I mean, it's something to consider maybe. For me, it's not really that useful, but like I say, for starting off, you know, for getting onto social media or whatever, with recording your building and painting of models, it's not the worst option available. So that's the end of the video. Hopefully there was some information there that you might find interesting. I will do another video just looking at the equipment that I use for my own videos, and so that'll give you an idea of the cost of just setting up something like this that I use for recording my videos. Obviously I use them for my Patreon as well. So I need them to be high quality videos, and also there's the cost is part of the business, whereas obviously when you're starting out you don't have those options. So something like this again may be useful to you. But anyway, as I said, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.